Hey everybody, welcome to Home Recording Made Easy and Plugin Review Friday, where every Friday I show you a new plugin, we walk through its feature set, and I show you how to apply it to a mix so you can make professional sounding mixes in your home studio. Okay, before we get started, if you like what you see in this video, please consider subscribing and make sure you hit that notification bell, and also make sure you stick around till the end of the video because I have a few free gifts I want to give you that is absolutely going to help you make better music in your home studio. So stick around. Hey everybody, welcome back to another Plugin Review Friday. This time out, we're going to take a look at yet another preamp by Arturia. This is the Pre V76, which is based on a German radio broadcast console from the 1940s, which is really cool with the addition of an equalizer. Now, this is something really cool. Really colorful. Again, sounds much different than anything else that I have in my collection, and we're going to check this out. This is the Pre V76. Now, before we get started, full disclosure, Arturia had sent me this plugin free of charge to me, so I can do a review for you guys and bring it to you, but in no way, shape, or form have they suggested that I say anything about the plugin outside of my own honest opinion, and that's the way I work. I do very few reviews for companies where they actually give me the plugins, but when they do, I want to tell you about it up front, but you can be rest assured that if I don't like the plugin, I'm going to tell you I don't like the plugin, or I'm not going to do the review at all. So I don't just say things because a company is giving me plugins to say them, which is much different than much of the YouTube channels that are out there. So I want you to be aware of that. You can trust me that my opinion here is my opinion and my opinion alone. Also, they're going to give us some of these free licenses so we can give them away as part of our monthly mixing membership contest over at mixingmadeeasy.net. Check the links in the description box below. So here we are, the Pre V76. Real super simple to use. We're going to listen to it on a drum bus, a bass, and acoustic. Pardon me. Real simple to use. Let's walk through the plugin. At the top here, left-hand corner, if you click on the Pre V76, you get a little drop-down menu and you can resize the plugin, which I really like. Talk about that all the time when plugin companies do this. This is wonderful, and this looks gorgeous, gorgeous interface here. On the left-hand side, we have our equalizer. Real simple. We have a high tone and a low tone. Back in the 40s, they didn't have parametric EQs and all that. It was bass and treble. That's it. Limited, yes, but simple to use and effective and very musical. Also, yes, the high tone is a 5K gentle shelf. The low tone is around 100 Hertz. We also have a low cut filter. You could set it to flat, which would be bypassed 80 Hertz, 300 Hertz, or 80 and 300, which is kind of weird. And then we have phase switches here, which is pretty cool. Now, this is a stereo instance of the plugin because it's on a drum bus. So keep that in mind. That's why you see a left and right EQ. If you were using it as a mono, you would only see one. Next to that, we have our input gain here, and I really love the little numbers that flow through the dial here. Very old school, just the way it was made back in the 40s. Very, very, very reminiscent of that old school stuff. I really like that a lot. We have our LED meters at the top. The harder you push the input, you'll see the LEDs or the little light bulbs change color. Not LEDs back in the 40s, they're real light bulbs, which is really cool. We have our equalizer that we could turn on and off with these nice toggle switches. This can either be linked stereo left and right, or they can be separate. We can run it in left-right motors, mid-side mode, and then we have our output trim. Really, really cool. Our output LET sensitivity can be high, medium, or low, meaning the more you push the input will be how sensitive these light bulbs are. We're going to keep it on high because I like the way it looks. You could bypass the plugin down here in the bottom right-hand corner, or you can bypass it in the top left-hand corner like we typically do. So here we are on a drum bus. Let's shut off the EQ. Let's just hear what the preamp section, if you will, does here on the V76 on some drums. I'm going to turn this up a little bit. So we can turn it down. So you can go up to plus 76 dB, really cool. And when you push it to 76 dB, it doesn't get all fuzzy and distorted. I mean, it gets a little distorted, but it's a very nice, pleasant distortion. It's not all gritty and digitally sounding. Very, very cool. let's try our EQ. So it reminds me of that old kind of like the Abbey Road kind of stuff that you see from Waves plugins, the old Abbey Road collection, like the TG1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and those kind of channel strips, or the console red, the ones that are made back in the 50s and 60s. That's what this kind of reminds me of. It's got that way different sound than something like a Neve or an SSL or even the Trident Pre that we looked at last week here on the channel. This is really cool. It's got a very nice subtle flavor. Now keep in mind that these plugins are meant, because they're preamp sections, are really meant to put across all your tracks. Now we're putting this on a session where all the tracks are completely raw, and I'm putting this on the bus. So we're only listening to this on just the drum bus, but it's not on the kick, snare, toms, overheads, and percussion, right? Because I want you to just hear what it does. So the more instances of the plugin that you put on, the more flavor and the more audible it's going to be. But this is a very cool sound. Again, very different from the other offerings by Arturia here in the preamp, plugins that they make. Got that big, fat, warm sound of those old school things. Again, it reminds me very much of like an Abbey Road type of a thing. I love it. Let's listen to it on a bass. Actually, what we should do, because I was playing all of those together, let's just solo up the drums here for a second. I want to hear it just alone on the drums. So we can isolate it from the other instruments. Okay, so there's just the drums. Now let's listen to just the bass. Then we'll do all three again at the same time. Let's listen to just the bass here. Turn it on. Here's our bass guitar. Now let's see. We'll turn off the EQ. Maybe we really want to push the input of the console as hard as much as possible. Look at that, nice and red. So to me, anything above 50% is where you really start to hear some of the harmonic distortion. Okay, let's get a little bit of low end here. Not a lot of information about 5K, so turn this down a little. So it's a nice little color, nice grit, little hair on the bass, really nice. Let's listen to it on an acoustic guitar, see what it does there. Start with the EQ off. Sounds great. Really adds a really nice color in a very subtle way. Now let's listen to it on all three of these tracks, and then we'll take them away all together. We'll bypass them all together. Really nice. Again, much different sounding than the Trident preamp that we looked at a couple of weeks back, and even the Neve 1073 by Arturia. This has a completely different sound than it should. It's really modeled on something that was made back in the 1940s, and this old gear from that era sounds way different than any more of the modern style stuff, which I really like. And again, I keep kind of putting it in the same class as like the Abbey Road collection by Waves. I really love the red console channel strips, the red 17 and the red 57, I believe it is, and then also the TG12345. This kind of fits in that ballpark. It's got that real old school, warm, fat, thick kind of tone. And the controls are very limited. You don't have a lot of sculpting or surgical capabilities, but that's not the way these old pieces of gear were made. So it was real important when back in those days, with the limitations to some of this brand new gear that's never been made before back in those days, you had to get the recording right at the source because you didn't have the opportunity to really sculpt things with parametric EQs and all kinds of filters and stuff. You had very limited controls. So you got to remember that they record live off the floor into a console like this with very limited amount of EQ control right to master tape, and that's the record. So everything had to be done at the source. So if you have some well-recorded tracks, using plugins like this can really kind of mimic and emulate that kind of sound from that period. And I think it's very cool, and I really like this. And I think, again, I'm fairly new to the Arturia plugins. I didn't really know much about them. They just recently came onto my radar, and I'm so glad that I reached out to them to get some of their plugins because I'm really enjoying them, and I'm really excited that they're going to be so kind to give us some licenses that we can give away as part of our mixing contest. Again, links in the description box below from mixingmadeeasy.net, because you have an opportunity to win some of these plugins, and these are great high-quality plugins. And I really like them. And I would absolutely use these on a mix across all of my tracks, and even in a more subtle way than what we did here, would really build up the sound really nice. And then you put some EQ and compression on things, and you can get a mix that sounds very cool. So I hope you enjoyed this look at the Pre V76 by Arturia. Again, click the link in the description box. Go out to their website and check them out. I think you could demo their stuff. I really enjoyed it, and I think you will as well. So I want to thank you for watching all the way till the end of the video. And as I say every week at Plugin Review Friday, I want to give you two gifts. The first gift I want to give you is I want to give you my 5 free tips to a professional sounding mix cheat sheet at homerecordingmadeeasy.com. Click the orange button on the website, download it free of charge, and at the same time, I want to give you a coupon code. I want to give you the coupon code YouTube25. That will take 25% off any one of the training courses that you see at homerecordingmadeeasy.com. So make sure that you check those out and see what you got going on over there. And then last but not least, if you really want to learn the craft of mixing, where we dive deep into these plugins at a much more detailed level, and every month we mix a new song, and every month we use a different set of tools and plugins, and as I've said a couple of times already, you have an opportunity to win some of these great plugins, then check out what I have going on at mixingmadeeasy.net. Again, all the links will be in the description box below. Lastly, I'd like to hear from you. Let me know in the comments below. What do you think of the Arturia plugins? Have you used them before? Is this your first time taking a look at them? These preamps are pretty cool, at least I think. I'd like to know what you think, and if there's other manufacturers' plugins that do preamps like this, which ones do you use? Let me know below. I'd be interested to know, and let me know if there's any other companies, kinds of plugins that you'd like me to kind of reach out to see if I can bring them to you and demo them and check them out for you so we can learn and listen to them together. So until next Plugin Review Friday, I've been Dave with homerecordingmadeeasy.com and mixingmadeeasy.net, and I will see you next Friday. Take care, everyone.